George Michael written song. So one of his, few written songs. I mean, he's a good writer, but he just doesn't write that much.
I didn't know it was by him. I'm reasonably impressed, I'd say. I mean,
it's a nice song.
It's a nice song.
Yeah.
And there's nothing particularly staggering about it.
No, not at all.
Not at all. I mean, it's very basic song smithery, essentially, really. 4 chords, verse, 3 chords, chorus, bridge, an extra bridge, yeah. So it's beginning, same as the end, same as the chorus, but without vocals or different vocals.
And it was written in the style of who? Paul McCartney.
Yeah.
That's what he says. I guess he just started to play the chords, and then he could probably hear a Paul song, and then started to kind of just go that way.
Yeah. I mean, I can hear a Paul song when I hear it because Paul's on it. So.
The 3 chords that are kind of repeated at the start, they're in so many songs, but I did narrow it down, and I do think it's 8 days a week that he's taken those chords from.
Exactly the same chords, totally, but the melody is different.
Oh, the melody's different, yeah, definitely, and it's a bit slower.
It's the same sort of technique that works very well on "Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me," which is just like the singing a bit and the other person sort of going like kind of backing it up, really.
Yeah, and unless it would have been better if you'd have said, "Ladies and gentlemen, Paul McCartney."
That would have upped it, I reckon, definitely, like by 1,000 megahertz. But it's still good. I mean, I have to say, I couldn't remember what it was, and I only listened to it like half an hour ago, and then I thought, this is lovely. I made lots of notes. Then I listened to it again. I was like, this is really nice. Oh, yeah. And third time, it was really nice. And then I was like, I won't listen to that probably again.
No, never. No.
It's one of those ones where you go, wow, bing, zing, wing, jing. No, bye. Once the fizz wears off,
Yeah.
But it is George and Macca together. So this cannot be sniffed at.
Yeah, and it brings it full circle as well.
It does. It helps us. But the voices, it's as we're listening to these kind of voices and how they work together, I think they work really well together.
Well, they're a bit too similar in places, aren't they? I can't tell who's who. I do like a bit of definition in my duets, and there's none here.
I feel like the producer, whoever that is, I feel like it's probably the same one who did George Harrison album. It really reminds me production-wise of George Harrison and that 80s album. Like, what's that called?
There's a lot, isn't there? Well, you mean Cloud 9?
Cloud 9, yeah.
What you think is Jeff Lynne?
What, he produced that, did he?
Yeah. Do you think Jeff Lynne got in with George?
Yeah, I'm gonna go for.
I'm gonna go with no.
Okay. We should probably check that then and see who.
Well, I don't think you need to check it.
No, let's not check it actually. But it's similar kind of production anyway. So, the producer probably in 2006 was some young upstart anyway, and was copying that production.
But it sounds exactly the same as the 91 one. It's like I guess they did it again, but like. Oh, I don't know. It's very similar to the original. There's just a few more bongos or congos or something like that in it.
That's what I thought was pretty funny. So as it starts, it's like it's the only conga sequence it's worth having, like on anything, and it's the same one that is on everything. It's like dum bum 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 bum. Like what the fuck? Like surely you could have gone dum bum 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 or something, but no, it's dum bum 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 bum. It's the one where you press the button on the Casio keyboard. That's what it does.
It's
a sample. Bossa Nova or something? I don't know. Maybe not Bossa Nova. Is it Bossa Nova?
Could be.
Or
rumba.
I'm going to go for Bossa Nova. You go for rumba? Okay. Rumba Nova. I'm going. No, it's Bossa Nova.
No idea. Is it Bossa Nova?
Okay, so then you've got, like, I was just talking about production a little bit. The 12...
No, Bossa Nova is... Yeah, I don't know. Maybe you're right.
That's it, exactly. Sped up.
Okay.
So And then you got this 12. It feels like a 12-string, or it's just like a stereo maximizer on lots of takes of the acoustic.
Yeah.
And then a nice sort of tasteful sort of Rickenbacker, perhaps 6-string lick over the top.
And they're very close to the mics, aren't they? The singing's very close to the mics. Very intimate.
What I would say is I feel like Macca is super close.
Yeah, because it's that kind of old person. It's like an old person down your ear, isn't it?
It is, totally.
When you go to your granddad's house and he gets too close and you can kind of smell him and he's like, ugh.
He's telling you a story. And he seems kind of...
Give you a nut that you don't want to eat.
He seems sort of acceptable and tasteful sort of from afar. But then when he's leaning in, you smell all the fucking cognac and stuff.
Oh, and the hair's coming out of his cheeks, coming out of the kind of wrinkled cheeks and this type. Yeah.
Yeah, but still, like, I mean, and that's the kind of sound he always has, Macca, like the chorus sound and like double tracked. It always sounds earnest, but sort of workman-like a songsmith who's having to sing his song, and he does it pretty well. It's like his voice is a tool. Whereas, and then I felt the production was cool because George has a bit of verb on it, and he's like a more sensual, sort of like emotional kind of, it's like release for him, everything that he sings. Yeah. And so he's sort of like sensually like caressing this old man. I
think he could caress anyone, you know. I think everyone gets caressed by George. Anyone that listens to it would get caressed by it. He's very sensual, like you say. Yeah,
he really is sensual.
He's essentially sensual.
Yeah, absolutely, totally. Sensational.
Sensational as well.
Sensationally, sensual. Essentially.
Yeah, I mean, I've never really been a big George listener, and you know, these last few weeks I've listened to more George, and I'm going to listen to him more.
Yeah, I mean, this morning I listened to the whole of the George Michael best of, but I have to say I skipped through tons of songs because actually lots of them are shit.
Right.
It was annoying because I was like, he's so good, and
he's best when he's doing covers, isn't he?
Yeah, and one of the best ones was Killer
by Adamski. Yeah,
mixed with Papa Was a Rolling Stone.
Well, that's from his cover to cover tour, which was around the same time as this song and the last song. This is your favourite era of George, I'd say.
Is it?
Oh, yeah, no, we just say Fast Love, didn't we? Fast Love.
Yeah, that was my favourite. I said that a few times, so no, that's 96 or something, probably.
Talking about covers, this is how I think they might have got together, is that they played at Live 8 and they did Drive My Car, and it's fucking... I mean, it's a pretty bad song anyway, isn't it?
Oh, that was the one I loved, like Drive My Car when I was a kid. Yeah, I was like, this is the one I kept.
Oh, right, as a kid,
because of the riff.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a riff fucking holic.
Yeah.
Okay. Beep beep. Yeah. I mean,
but try watching George Michael do that next to aging Paul McCartney on Live 8 and getting excited. It's quite hard.
Okay, I will try later. Maybe I need some assistance with that.
I mean, that's not what you want George to be singing.
No, I'm sure a terrible George song.
It's a terrible idea. But 6 years before that, at the charity concert for Linda McCartney, he did The Long and Winding Road and Eleanor Rigby, and check that out. The Long and Winding Road.
That sounds like it's going to be great. Oh, because that's a George song. I mean, Drive My Car. What the fuck? No, of course not.
Doesn't work. But he does Long and Winding Road much better than Paul. I've never really liked the song as a Paul song. I've quite liked the song as an idea, but never really liked it as a Beatles song. I always thought it sounded totally out of place as a Beatles song.
Really?
I always thought it was someone else. I always thought whenever I heard it, I was tricked for the first few bars, thinking, "Who's this? Oh, it's the Beatles." Like, it just doesn't seem to fit.
He did it I saw Macca at Isle of Wight Festival from afar.
In 1970.
In 1970.
You were looking back in time. That's how far away you were.
Yeah, YouTube. No, from a boat next to the festival.
Oh, like, on your dad's yacht.
Let's not boat. Let's not call it a yacht. I mean,
well, it was a yacht when I was on it.
Yeah, that wasn't.
We played that
wasn't
game.
his.
One of my favourite games we've ever played, which was
What was that?
name all the Bond films in order.
That's the only one I could think of that everyone would have actually got involved in. It was such a Partridge moment. It was amazing.
So, I wanted to tell you about, because I watched a bit more of the concert for Linda. And it was kind of put on by Chrissie Hynde, who I guess was Linda's friend. And so the Pretenders are the kind of backing band for everyone. So they're the backing band for George and the backing band for Paul when he comes on at the end. And also, Johnny Marr was part of the Pretenders, I think, at the time. They do a version of Meat is Murder.
Wow.
And Johnny Marr sings Morrissey's part in like a kind of lazy Morrissey impression with like no gusto at all.
Yeah.
Like just kind of more like really grungy kind of guitar noise, and it's fucking horrible.
Death for no reason is murder.
Yeah, and they have lyrics up projected behind them.
Of course, because it's Linda McCartney. Yeah.
And then, of course. And then they have him and Chrissie Hynde kind of finger jabbing on certain, it's murder.
Finger jabbing?
Yeah, like, you know, kind of.
The crowd, right. Okay.
For the crowd, just to kind of hammer home the point.
That sounds incredibly silly. You know, unless you're very passionate about the subject, and then I'm sure it was powerful.
No, that's great. But the performance of the song was a bit like kind of, this is serious, guys.
Yeah.
Guys. Come on. Try
hard seriousness. And Marr probably hated Morrissey, but he's singing his words.
But Marr did become a vegetarian.
Okay.
Not during the gig, like before that, when Meat is Murder came out. I think he felt the pressure from the lyrics in the song and thought, I can't perform this on the stage and not be a vegetarian now. I've got no excuse. So he became a vegetarian back then.
Shit. So it wasn't just before the Linda McCartney gig, just to sort of make sure.
Chrissie Hynde was pressurising everyone to become veggie. I imagine George Michael's probably a veggie. He seems pretty right on.
Maybe. I have no idea.
He loves his dogs because he has them in some videos and stuff.
Yeah, and there's a lot of dog lovers who love a steak.
True.
Yeah, I know a few.
Oh.
I'm one. Love a dog, love a steak.
We shouldn't really be talking about this straight after talking about Meat is Murder.
No, not really. I do love that song, but that sounds like a terrible version of it.
It was awful. Yeah, don't check that out at all, guys.
Don't check it out, although I'll pop it on if I can. But maybe we should, maybe this is getting a bit painful. We should heal the pain.
Oh!
By coming back to the song. Heal the pain. And, so you've got Macca there, close, doing his Beatles thing. He always sounds like there's some production on him, but maybe it's not. It's just the way, like him and Phil Collins always sound like there's this kind of production on them.
I feel like in the last... No, I don't know what you mean by those two in particular. But I mean, what I can hear
maybe it's the chorus effect.
I've heard people always say, oh, and his voice hasn't changed at all. He can do all the same things, blah, blah. But you can hear in the production, he's getting closer and closer, and you can hear that hollowness that like old people have. Like it's like all their guts have just shrunk to like peanut size, and like everything inside them is like just, you know, it's just turning to dust, and it's no teeth left.
Shit.
Which we're all going towards.
Of course, yeah.
It's just part of how you are then.
Yeah,
and it's great.
But in terms of how they're singing, he's the workman-like guy. George is emoting over the top. I feel like Macca is the solid one, and he's like going to heal George's pain.
Well, it almost brings us back to the
so romantic. Mind. Yeah,
because you have this kind of elder fatherly figure Father figure. That's a George Michael song, isn't it? This older guy that's kind of so good at what he does, and is kind of a guide, like, to both of these people. Even though George is well, mature enough to know his way around, it's almost like Paul's just there, just going, "Yeah, you do it a bit. This is how you do it." And it's like, well, that is how you do it, actually. God.
yeah. Like Macca just roots both songs with this fatherly thing. He is like an old man, even when he was young. Like, and that's why he's still alive, because he's sensible, basically, isn't he?
He's sensible, yeah. I mean, actually, around this time, 2006, he gets involved with Heather Mills, doesn't he? So this is like, just looking to see if he released much around this time, and I think he's got, because he releases a lot, doesn't he? He's prolific. That's probably why George is so enamored by him, because Paul just writes like that, he's constantly writing. And George obviously takes his writing very seriously and probably scraps a lot of it and just doesn't think it's good enough. Whereas Paul doesn't give a shit, release anything. And it's normally good. And
around this time, probably not.
But good. Around this time, fucking hell, he did a crime against music that has not been fully realised and not been fully punished for. Yeah, please.
Is it the one that was used like as an Apple fucking ringtone or something?
I don't know. Which one's that?
An Apple advert.
Did it have a mandolin in it?
Yes.
That's the one I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I think he brought ukuleles back into fashion with this song, because it's like the simplest.
Oh, God.
And it's on a mandolin, it's not on a ukulele, but then I remember just like it becoming a big thing in like 2010, around that time.
Yes.
10 years ago.
And it was like...
It was in a lot of adverts. There was groups getting together and doing gigs where they're just like doing covers of songs with all ukuleles, all this shit. And it was on TV, and it's like, fuck.
Oh, with the troubadour hat and a ukulele.
Oh, man,
it's the return of the fucking troubadour. Yeah. And this time they've got a fucking ukulele.
Well, the troubadour as an image.
Yeah,
exactly. As a
and I feel that advert for iPhones, which this is definitely on, whatever it is called, is you're probably right. That's the
I think McCartney is
perpetrator of this evil that we all had to fucking sit through. So many fucking dickheads doing this.
That's all because Paul would just pick up anything and make a song like that, and then that could probably be a hit.
Is there any more we could say about Heal the Pain? Like,
oh no, I don't think so.
I don't think so, unfortunately. But it's a lovely little ditty. I'd listen to it maybe once, maybe twice, and then I wouldn't listen to it anymore if I were you, listeners, and just be happy that happened. I would say it's nice. It starts with a coda and ends with a coda. Yeah, obviously the coda is the intro.
Oh, right. Well, that's exactly like 8 Days a Week. But I don't know if you call that a coda, because it's more of an intro. So that's more of a kind of like, it works as an intro and a finish, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's quite bombastic. But coda is just like a repeat, isn't it? Like a repeated refrain.
Yeah, and that's why I feel like it is a coda at the beginning of this one, Heal the Pain, because it does go around and the vocals repeat. It starts off with the Macca sort of doing do-da-do, da-do-da-do, da-do-da-do, which is like the end. Like, like you wouldn't normally, before, pre-Sound and Vision by David Bowie, you wouldn't have started with something like that.
Did that change them? Did that break the mold?
Broke the songwriting mold thanks to their special cards, Eno and Bowie. What they call
Atari cards?
No, the pack of cards that they randomly looked at, and then they go, "We do that." I mean, we put the synth bit that was going to be the bridge. Put that at the beginning. No, we can't possibly. No one would. But what if? Oh my, do it. Oh my God! No one's ever heard something like that before.
They were doing it in a beat poetry kind of way.
Meow, 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 meow. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right. It's called the 7 Cards of Doom or something. It's not called that. It's called.
But they used it in writing, didn't they, in the 50s a lot?
Oh, did they? Oh.
Well, the Beats did, didn't they? They used all that kind of
in writing,
randomness music,
but exactly cut up burrows.
Cut up burrows stuff. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
To wrap up, like what we talked about in this show, there's a real lack of women represented, and that is strange for the
A total
duets.
lack of women.
No, not a total, because Janet was there. But
yeah, sorry.
But I would have
But
thought.
she pisses like a man, so.
I mean, most of the duets are boy-girl.
Yeah, that's the classic format, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, I mean, I've got some stats here, and I've got 202 boy-girls. I've got 43 boy-boys, and only 10 girl-girls.
Really?
Yeah. It's quite strange to avoid so many girls. But that's how it works when you go, trying to link the six together.
Yeah. Yeah. Nothing sort of suspicious about that at all. Just
nothing at all. I mean, there's not two boys talking about music, loving boy music, loving the way boys play music, sing music. It's nothing to do.
It's not that. It's not that.
Nothing to do with trying to fit Cliff and Paul McCartney in it. Nothing to do with that.
Nothing to do with that. I was listening to some duets today, and there's some good ones, and there's some artists that could have made it into this kind of degrees of separation thing, but maybe not 6 degrees, like Kate Bush.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you, actually. I was going to ask you if you suggest someone and I try and do a 6 degrees of separation.
Yeah.
Or a duet that you like if you want the Kate Bush, Peter Gabriel one is that the one you're thinking of?
That's the one. Let's do that one. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll start
there.
One
I suggest. Start there.
Start there.
See where you go, I suppose. What will we find in the bush?
What will we find? I mean, we'll it could take me a while to kind of work it out because I've probably got to go to work next week.
Shit. It's a bummer. Yeah.
Anyway, I was going to ask you, have you ever written a duet?
That's a very good question. Although, it's not that.
What, you never thought of it?
Not even thought of it, no. I mean, I did write backing vocals for my wife later.
That's not the same.
It's really not the same. But she just sang the same thing in harmony in the choruses.
Yeah.
I'd sing a duet with you. That would be quite good.
Yeah, me and you could do a duet.
We should actually. Yeah, we could do one now.
Yeah. Okay. Ready?
Yeah. Yep. 1, 2, 3, 4. The weatherman looks. How's it go?
Shakes his fist at the sky,
like you used to do.
There's a dog in the fog, and my eyes are unleashed. You did the dirty, and I was upset. It was cold.
Cold river. Yes. Holy shit! Hug,
and
fist in the air.
Fade.